I want you to think about your life and think of the greatest blessings that you've ever been given. Now, how many of those blessings were because you worked hard for them, or because you puppeteered people in your life, or because you controlled every single circumstance that led up to that blessing? How many of those blessings were because you simply brute forced it and made it happen? Most likely, your answer is going to be none of them, or at least very few of them. I don't know, who's to say? But in general, blessings, the greatest blessings, they tend to be unexpected, don't they? Growing up, I was always the girl who clenched a little too hard, clenched and stressed out, and was just super anal about all the tiny little details. And basically, I was trying to control everything. I was a control freak. When you go through life, you have the choice to be stressed or not stressed. When I was younger, I remember hearing this sentiment, this statement, and I remember thinking, what the hell? It's easy for someone to not be stressed when they have money, when they have resources. It's easy for them to say when their life isn't even that hard. Some people have to be stressed in order to function. It has taken me a very long time to realize this, and that is that there really is a choice. You don't have to be stressed. Over the last several years, there's been a lot of discourse about the universe and manifestation and alignment, and if it's meant for you, it'll be yours. And I feel like a lot of people want to believe that, but have a really hard time actually believing it. The best things that have ever happened to me, the things that spearheaded my growth personally and spiritually, they did not seem like blessings when they happened at the time. Okay, they did not seem like blessings. They were blessings in disguise. The thing is, you don't recognize them because you're just so busy. You're just so busy trying to control everything and freaking out over the fact that things aren't going according to the way that you meticulously planned them to go. And when the universe throws you a curveball like, hey, this is the path you were meant to be on, you're just like, why? Why does the universe hate me? Why is my life so hard? I can say that because I was there. The first step to getting everything that you want out of this life is just detach and not want it anymore. And you might be wondering, if I release the desire for something that I really, really want, doesn't that mean that I'm no longer going to be manifesting it? Doesn't it mean that, I'm not going to get it anymore if I don't spend every day, every minute thinking about it and chasing it and doing everything in my power to get it to me? This took me a really long time to understand, because I was always the person who wanted things and held on to things with an iron grip and just couldn't let go, couldn't detach. And then when I didn't get the things that I wanted, they would crush me. I would be very, very, very upset. Desire is a hell of a drug. Desire is a hell of a drug. But you know what desire actually is in disguise? Desire is fear of not getting. Because if you knew that you were going to get something that you wanted, if you knew that your wildest dreams were going to come true and you were going to manifest everything, there would be no desire there. There would just be patience. You would just be waiting for it to come in because you know that it's already yours. If it's aligned, it's aligned. So the desire is the lack of trust in the universe, because you think there is something that you can do on your end still to 100% secure whatever it is that you're trying to secure, when in reality it's out of your grasp. This goes for anything and everything you want. In dating the ideal partner, in finding a great job, in securing a certain career path, everything in life. Desire actually pushes what you want away. In spirituality, there is the concept of vibrational frequencies. You might have heard people talking about their vibrations. Colloquially, it's more or less a vibe. If a person has a positive vibe, that will rub off on you. If a person has a negative vibe, that will also rub off on you. That's what vibe is referring to, their vibrational energy. But what a lot of people don't talk about is that these vibrational frequencies and these energies are actually quantified, and they're qualified. Quantified and qualified. Fear is one of the lowest vibrational energies there is. Fear prevents people from doing things that they should. Fear prevents people from saying things that they should to people that they should say those things to. Fear of not getting something blocks. There's a psychological distance between the thing that you want and where you are. Desire, desiring something, wanting something with that desperate energy, it tells the universe like, hey, I'm so afraid I'm not going to get this because I don't think I deserve it. And it's how you show up in the world. If you don't think that you deserve something, how do you think you're going to show up in the world? If you're constantly battling that imposter syndrome, constantly battling with yourself. If an opportunity is presented to you at your door and you genuinely believe that you don't deserve that opportunity, do you think you're going to be well equipped to grasp it when you have the chance? Unless you think that you deserve that, unless you think it's already yours and you can approach it with a calm and confident demeanor, how are you going to get everything that you want? How are you going to get it? I will say that everything in my life that I have very, very strongly desired, I never got. No matter how much I clung to it in my head and crossed my fingers and prayed and just wished and wished and wished that I could have this one thing, I never, ever, ever, ever got what I wanted when I was that desperate. However, with other things that I thought to myself, hey, that would be nice to have, and then I just forgot about it, I get them. You might find that the same thing has happened to you. And it's because there's no desperate energy with these things that we actually successfully manifest. There's no fear of not getting. And because there's no fear there, it just ushers them in. And also, it's what I just mentioned about how you show up in the world. The people that we interact with, more often than not, it's going to be other human beings, other people who are going to be responsible or have the power to give us the opportunities of our dreams. Open doors and stuff. We all need each other, right? People are smart. They can pick up on desperate energy. They can pick up on if you're confident or not. Other people don't like that neurotic energy. It's also not good for your own psyche to be so high-strung all the time. I'm speaking from first-hand experience. There's no point in being high-strung. There's 0 point in being high-strung because it's not going to affect the outcome. Do you really think that your neuroticism, your anxiety, your high-strungness is going to change the outcome of something that was always going to happen? And you should not feel helpless upon realizing this. In fact, you should actually feel a little relieved that you don't have to do so much work anymore. You don't have to suffer so much anymore. And you're still going to get everything that you deserve. The key to getting everything that you want, in terms of career, in terms of relationship, in terms of everything and anything, is to just let go and detach and just trust that, hey, whatever's mine is going to come to me eventually. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I know that it is, and I trust. I trust the universe. I'm not desperate for any specific outcome. The older I get, the more I realize that everything does turn out okay. Even when you think the world is going to end, it doesn't. The sun goes up, the sun rises the next day. And if you could go back in time and just save yourself all that stress and all that anguish, why wouldn't you choose to do that? It's coming up on a year now since I decided to move to LA and pursue acting. And I think that if I didn't think about life this way and opportunities and desire and manifestation, if I didn't think these things and I just let every single rejection throw me off, and I still let myself desire certain roles and fear not getting certain roles, like, I would be driven crazy. Like, do you know how many rejections I've had at this point? I have gotten so many rejections. There was a point in time where I would get really crushed and really disappointed every time I didn't get a role that I wanted. I realize now that I can't afford all that emotional expenditure, especially with the rate of rejections that are going to occur inevitably. Now I know the concept of detachment is easier to conceptualize than actually apply. It's hard. It's really hard at first. But I found that what helps the most is facing the fears head on. Even if you don't think there are any fears, just sit with it, journal, and the fears will come up. There are definitely fears. If you feel desperate or you want something really, 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 really bad, there are definitely a list of fears present, okay? And the first step to letting go of those fears is to address them and admit that they're there, and then subsequently reassuring yourself that the worst case scenarios are unlikely to happen. I used to make this chart of my worst fears in one column, aka the worst case scenarios, because my anxiety, I always think the worst case scenario is going to happen. That's immediately where my mind goes to. And then on the other column next to each point, I would write down what was most likely the truth, what was most likely going to happen realistically, objectively. And the stark difference between those two columns, man, reading this column would always make me feel better. It's normal. It's normal to be afraid. It's a human survival instinct. But you just have to remember that for most cases, unless if it's a life and death scenario, it's really not that serious. Once you address the fears and you acknowledge that they're there, and you kind of discount your extreme anxieties with like the facts and the objective truth and the most likelies, you kind of fear a little bit less. Maybe the reason that you're so desperate, that you want a certain job to work out so bad, is because you're afraid that you're never going to use your college degree. Why are you afraid that you're never going to use your college degree? Well, you might be afraid that you're not going to make enough money, you're not going to be able to survive, you're not going to be able to support a family, and then you're going to die alone. You know, there's a path that you can follow. It always leads to something. Maybe you feel so desperate and so attached to making it work with a specific person romantically because you think that you can't do any better. Why don't you think you can do any better? Because maybe somebody told you that. Maybe you're afraid of dying alone. There's always some fear associated with intense desire. Another thing when it comes to manifesting your desires is being okay with it not happening at all. With all the blessings that I have manifested into my life, all the cool things that have happened, I've always been okay with them not happening at all. But of course they happened, you know, but just in case they didn't for one reason or another, maybe it wasn't going to be aligned for me, I had to be okay. A lot of people think of things as a win-lose scenario. Oh, if I don't get this person to date, if I don't get this person to love me back, I lose. If I don't get this job, I lose. If I don't get this specific outcome for this one specific thing that I'm trying to exert too much control over, I lose. You don't lose. You don't lose. I think a very real human thing to do is just place too much emphasis on one specific thing sometimes. Like for me, I've definitely placed way too much emphasis on specific outcomes, and they never worked. They never worked out. You have a choice to be chill, be open to the possibilities, and just show up as your best self, not be desperate, and just believe that you deserve all the good things. And when you do that, your vibration increases, and you subsequently attract things, positive things, on that same vibrational frequency that you're at. It's how the world works. I don't make the rules. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but it's always the super, super negative people, super angry people, the super hateful people who are always talking shit about other people and never looking at themselves. It's those people that nothing good ever happens to. If they think that they're cursed, and they say that they're cursed, they're like, oh, of course this would happen to me upon any major or minor inconvenience. they're doing that to themselves. It's how they show up in the world. I mean, shit happens to everybody. Shit happens to everybody. Okay, life happens. A lot of it is out of our control. Most of it, honestly, is out of our control. We have free will, we have agency. That is not necessarily in regards to doctoring certain outcomes. It's more in regards to how we think, how we show up emotionally, how we react to things, how we treat the people around us, how we treat ourselves, really. Manifesting your desires starts with you believing that you deserve good things. It starts with you putting positive intentions out into the universe. It starts with you loving yourself, loving the people around you, and just being patient and trusting the universe.